Jacco, my friend, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure and a treat.
What do you have for us today?
Listen to me. Type it in. Type it in. Today, we're going to talk about the discovery call and the impact it can have on your revenue goal. You listen, because if the customer says, bingo, jackpot, you nailed it, love it, yes.
We're actually going to talk about how you can double your revenue. And the answer, you might be like, what the is this? This is the answer.
My point in this is, AI does that way faster, way better, and gives you a way better output.
What is this, Jacco?
This is a process that any one of you can do at any point in time, and within a very relatively short time frame, double your revenue. Dude, you already have this?
It's not as hard as it looks.
Yes!
If you have 40 minutes, we'll walk you through this step by step so you can walk out of the session doubling your revenue. I'm Mark Roberge, and this is the Science of Scaling.
When you are a founder and you want to start selling, one of the first things I want to talk to you about is what is your playbook and what is your play structure? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that from a complete customer journey perspective, okay? And so what I have here on the left is what we call the funnel. And the funnel has different stages, and at different stage ends somewhere with a commit. This is the part where a customer makes a commitment. We refer to it as a mutual commitment, not as a one-sided, mutual commitment. That is a commitment of where you are getting the money from the customer, they're committing that to you, and you're committing that you're going to deliver that. The way you commit to that is that there's another part of the journey. This is what is referred to as the acquisition part, the acquisition of the deal, and this part is where we're really delivering against that. At one part, I'm signing up for it here, and at the other part, I'm delivering against that. That gives us a full view of the customer journey. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to depict how a customer journey fits in there. With that perspective, Mark, perhaps you can ask us a few questions and give us an idea.
So I want to make sure we really highlight really critical points that Jacco's bringing up that I see get messed up quite a bit. So many founders think of the sales process as ending when the contract sale gets sold and the money comes in. Totally wrong. What Jacco's saying is this thing continues. Just like we talk about, get the lead, get the appointment, get the demo, get the contract, get it signed. We have to set them up. We have to get first adoption. We have to get first success. We have to get expansion. That is the full customer journey. So I just want to make sure that's clear for the founders on most people mess this up.
Mark, so well said. Thank you for bringing that in. This is why we call it mutual commit. This is not a close. And although that seems like two simple words, it changes the perspective. It's terminology that when you can introduce it to into your company, it changes the commitment of the playbook. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to help you think through how we're creating a playbook. What is a playbook? I tell you what it is not. It cannot be drone piloting your customers and managing them all the way through. Every step, we need to measure everything. That's not how it's going to work. Instead, we're going to create a few moments. We call them moments that matter. And in this case, I'm going to just draw a few dots on the screen and go hey, these are moments that matter. Now, let me give you an example of a moment that matter. And it was a true moment that happened for me. For decades, I've complained about United Airlines, about how bad they treated me and how I never got an upgrade. But there was one moment that made the difference. That particular moment that made the difference was when my mom was about to pass away, obviously very sad, but fortunately she was at a very high age. And I needed an immediate flight. And United gave me an immediate flight. That was a moment that mattered, so much so that I still remember it. Your customers on your journey, they have moments that matter. That could be when you onboarded them and they got great, immediate and great return for that. That could be the fantastic discovery call. That can be the first email they got from you. Those moments that matter don't need to be endless. In generally, you only need 5 or 10 of those moments, okay? Now, I drew in here 5, and what I'm going to do is that particular moment down there, we're going to call that the discovery, and which is the focus of today, okay? That's the discovery call. That's the focus. Now, if I want to double sales, I want to double it. You know what? We're doing so fast. I want to double it. I cannot say, you know what? We're just going to double the win rate. We go from 30% win rate to 60% win rate. That is unreasonable. I can't say, let's double our lead flow. That's unreasonable. What I can say, what if we can make a 10% improvement? What if we can improve this discovery call with 10%? What if we can improve that closing call with 10%. And I don't mean 10 percentage points, I mean 10%. So if the discovery call's conversion rate is 70%, I'm like, can we get it to 77%, right? 10% of 70%. That's what I'm looking at. Can we make a small and marginal improvement? Now here's the trick. Follow my, okay? I'm gonna erase this here just to make some room on the board. And I'm gonna go like, Jacco, if we can improve by 10%, in other words, I can make a multiplication from 1.1, 10%, and I do that across 7 moments, okay? Get your calculator out, turn it sideways, type in 1.1, iPhone out, whatever you have, type in 1.1 to the power of 7, okay? Listen to me, type it in. Type it in. What are you getting? Tell me, what are you getting? I know what you're getting. I know what you're getting. You're gonna get 2x. Here's the secret. Small marginal improvements like 10% across 7 moments that matter, double your revenue. Think about that, double your revenue. That is way more achievable than asking somebody to double their win rate or to double the lead flow. 10% improvements across 7 moments that matter. Now here's the exercise I want you to do for me, okay? Right now, take your pen and paper out and start writing. What are the 7 moments that matter most to my customer and how I engage with them? Write those 7 moments down. Start. When you wake up in the morning, oh, I found another moment that matters. Get those 7 moments, improve those moments by 10%, you double your revenue. Now I'm gonna help you with the first moment, and that's the discovery call. And here we are. Now let me take you through the process of a discovery call. First things first, you come to the conclusion, is there a process? Absolutely. I'm gonna draw a little line that gives us an idea of what an X and a Y axis is, okay? So here is time. Now, the time for a discovery call can be different for different people. Sometimes it's an hour discovery call, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Whatever it is, it's the process of time. And on the vertical axis, I'm gonna draw engagement. How engaged is the customer during that part of the cycle? The higher I go, the more engaged they are. The further I go to the right, I want to see that engagement goes up. Now what I'm just going to draw a little line down here and go like, we want it probably to look something like this. Now where am I going to start that with? I have over the history, I've asked executives 2 questions. Number 1, based on the first 5 minutes, can you determine when on a discovery call, can you determine if you deal with an executive, yes or no? 100%. It takes less than 5 minutes for an executive to determine if you know what you're talking about. Second question I ask, based on those first 5 minutes and based on that person being a professional, would you invite better executives to the next call based on that or lesser qualified executive? Would you bring your CFO or would you bring another person? And they go like, if they know what they're doing, I'm bringing my best people on the next call, cost me less time. That means that the first 5 minutes are the most important minutes. Now, I don't want you to waste that time, all those 5 minutes in small talk, but small talk is important. You're gonna get 2 to 3 minutes for that on a 30-minute call, okay? I'm just normalizing against a 30-minute call. After those 30 minutes, you're gonna run what we call an ACE. An ACE is what stops, what ends the small talk, and what signals to everyone, I am taking control of this meeting, and I'm orchestrating a call. When you do that, it doesn't matter how restrained you feel, I can tell you, people will listen to you, they will appreciate you. What does an A stand for? A, appreciate. C, check time. E, set end goal. Appreciate, check time, set end goal. Gentlemen, gentle ladies, everybody on the call, I appreciate you folks taking the time today to meet with us. I have a schedule for 30 minutes. Does that still work for everyone? Now you need to know that confirmation, because what you do not want to have is that the decision maker, he or she, leaves the room 5 minutes before the end of the meeting, which is happening commonly, but you need to know that. Is the decision maker or other people involved in the call, are they gonna leave? Check time. We're here till the bottom of the hour. Does that still work for everyone? This is important because with that commitment, everybody commits till the bottom of the hour. E, set the end goal. The goal of today's call is to see if what the service that we offer matches to your needs, the end goal. Why is that important? Because at the end of the meeting, 5 minutes before the end of the call, I'm going to check, did we hit the end goal? It's a simple question, right? And then if we did, we can move to the next meeting. Logical, right? So I set the end goal, as simple as this is. And I know you think, Jacco, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. ACE, appreciate you folks the time. You then, Jacco, I'm on another call. I don't want to do ACE. I've been doing 4 ACEs today. You have, but your customer hasn't. They get frequently meetings that go 7, 8 minutes into small talk. They constantly end up late on the meeting. So that little thing is super important, okay?
Discovery is your opportunity to reveal what actually drives the buying decision. You fail at discovery, you lose the deal. What keeps you up at night is played out. That's why we put together a guide with 6 non-negotiable questions to ask on every discovery call. The reasoning behind them, plus the follow-ups to dig deeper when prospects give surface-level answers. Master the strategy behind these questions and watch your close rate transform. Link in the description.
Next after that, you're going to set the stage. That stage, in a few important things, is like SP. You're going to establish the situation. Ideally, you know of the situation. Jennifer, last we spoke, you said that you have 4 people and you're hiring 6 additional people. And I understand you're looking for an applicant tracking system. Am I correct? Yes, 4, you're hiring 6 additional people. And that currently you're doing it by sending out independents, blah, 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 X, Y, Z. Yes, situation. I then establish the pain. May I ask, so currently you're working, you do it manually, you do it in spreadsheet. Did I get that right? Yes. How many hours does that cost? Oh, it costs a few hours. Situation established in pain. Now you get about 2 to 3 situational questions, followed by 1 to 2 pain questions. This is just, you can't keep asking situational questions, because if you do that, then it's going to sound like you're interrogating the customer. So you got to go like situational questions. Now that situational questions, you can insert the research that you have done. Jennifer, I saw on LinkedIn that you currently have 3 positions open. Is that the same as the 3 new openings that you have? Yes. Jennifer hears this and go like, okay, Dudski over there, do that, done the research. I love it. Like, yes. Little things, those little things that matter really a lot. Situation and pain, okay? Once you've done that, you've established this. Ladies and gentlemen, the next most important part of this entire thing is coming through. Can you please summarize what you've heard? That little summarization that you do right there tells them, I'm on the same level with you. So all you do down here, you say, so Jennifer, if I got it right, you got this situation, LinkedIn added this situation, it's causing you this particular pain. Did I get that right? After this, we do what is the most complex for every human seller in the world. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but it's also abbreviated as STFU. If you know what that means, that's your moment. This is where you do the STFU. You sit there, you listen. Because if the customer says, bingo, jackpot, you nailed it, love it, yes, fantastic, you're on the same line. If they correct you, no worries, you prepared for it. Okay, you listen carefully, you correct, you repeat. So, okay, with that wrong, if I get it right, you're in this situation, this pain. Yes. Your customer says yes, fantastic. At that point in time, you're gonna get 3 options. Now, with that said, Mark, perhaps you can provide us some perspective on this.
Yeah, I mean, so far this is gold. So a couple of things to highlight. The first one is, Jacco made an important point. We're like, Jacco, the ACE, I don't want to do the ACE anymore. I've done the ACE 4 times. But the customer hasn't heard it. And we often see this as a post-ramp slump. If you're a founder, if you're a sales leader, if you're a sales rep, and that rep is slumping, they're 12 months in, they're 16 months in, they hit goal 4 quarters in a row, 6 months in a row, and then all of a sudden they start missing. Oftentimes it's because they're skipping steps, because they're bored. They've done this 80 times, but you have to remember this is the first time for the customer going through. So.
Look, Mark, on this point, a professional doesn't work until they get it done right once. A professional works until they never do it wrong again. I want you to wake up every day and be able to repeat an ACE. I want you to use an ACE in internal meetings. I want you to become, and I'm telling you, you're going to find everybody around you going to say like, yeah, that's a professional. They know what they're doing. Of course, it's a repetitive process, but yeah, so is a meeting.
Okay, 2 questions about the process so far. and I'm challenging our founders, our first-time sales leaders. You mentioned that the likelihood that they bring someone better depends on how credible and how valuable they are. Now, if I'm selling to CFOs, public company CFOs, they've been in finance for 30 years, I would imagine that they would be most receptive to a peer CFO, who we can't really hire as salespeople. So how do I take my 28-year-old, my 32-year-old seller who's been in the professional world for 5, 10 years to really impress a CFO without having studied finance for 30 years?
The way you do that is you ask for their opinion, you involve them in the conversation. So the moment in time, this is a relatively easy part of the journey, right? Because we summarize. And now what we're going to talk about is the impact that they want. A great thing involving a CFO or a CRO or somebody is they often have a certain impact that they have in mind. And what we want to do is we want to extract that impact. And that is where we're going next.
Last question, Jacco,
Sure.
if I could.
Please.
So many folks who have seen this for the first time, I think a big concern they have is like, Jacco, I think they just want to see the product. So first off, is that true? And second off, what if they do actually, they walk in the meeting and they're like, hey, enough of the sales tricks. I just came here to see a demo. Can you show me a demo? How do you handle that?
You bring up the demo. Actually, this is a fantastic point. You don't want to tell the customer, yeah, we're not going to do it that way. Why? Because that's the first stiff arm in the face already. So instead what you do, you bring up the demo screen. You start your screen share. You bring up the demo screen because it signals to them, I'm going to listen to you. And then before you start the demo, he says, folks, I got a lot of things to demo down here. Can you help me? What are the 2 or 3 things you really want to see demo today? And they now know, oh, they're starting the demo. And then, now the moment in time, Mark, this is important. When they give you the demo things that they want, this is an opportunity for you to ask, is there an order of priority? Is one more than important? Because that tells us decision criteria later on.
Now, do you do that only if they push you in that direction?
In generally we do.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you want to stay not on script, but you want to stay on something that you prepared for them.
Yeah, so 2 highlights there on Jacco's point. One, you would be surprised when you just take this simple method. 80% of the buyers are like, great. They actually don't ask for the demo. They're fine. So have confidence around it. And then the second point is notice how Jacco handled the objection of, I just want to see a demo. Part of the reason we're doing this is we're trying to qualify, we're trying to discover for our own purposes. But part of the reason is we are actually trying to make it a very efficient meeting for them. And that's the way we're describing it. The more we can always be solving for them and their need, that's going to be powerful for them.
And it shows them that you listened as well in the process. And they want to be heard, right?
Okay, so Jacco, what's the next step in the process?
The next step in the process is where I'm going to identify the impact. Now, as I get onto this summary essentially gives me a platform of 3 steps. I can go down in engagement, I can stay equal, or I go up. Now, what I'm going to do is if I start pitching is okay. Based on this pain, I am going to solve you the problem. Oh, you needed this? I have the ideal product for you. That pitching is not bad, and particularly in transactional sales, it's what the customer came there for, so you can pitch. If you pitch against a pain, that is referred to as solution selling. Make your pitch quick. If it's quick, it's fine. If it takes long, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, you're going to see that the customer is going to bow out. Their attention span, their engagement level is going to go down. Now, what you can also do is you can insert a customer use case story. You can say, oh my gosh, Jennifer, I hear this all the time. This is not the first time I hear of this problem. Actually, it reminds me of Marco at company, or Juan at company XYZ. You insert a story. Or you can ask them, Jennifer, based on that pain, what is the impact? What is the thing that you want to accomplish most? And then Jennifer may ask and say like, well, I don't know really. He said, okay, well, other customers, they generally want to reduce costs, or they want to increase revenue, or they want to onboard people faster, and so on. You're looking for the impact, okay? Now, what I'm going to draw to you in a second is the following. 2 things that defines selling is relatively simple. It comes down to 2 things. 2. Okay, follow me. What is the impact I get? And by which time frame do I get it? I sign up for Disney. What is the impact I get? 30 seconds later, I get to watch the movie. That's impact and event. Now, I may decide that I sign up for Netflix, right? But then suddenly I have 2 young children in the house. The moment the babies are born, the critical event for Disney goes up significantly because I need access to a different kind of content. Baby born equals a critical event. Impact, Disney has better content than Netflix for children. Impact, critical event. Now what you'll see is when I get that impact, I want to identify like what kind of impact the customer wants. Here's an example, an exercise I want all of you founders to do by heart. What are 5 different impacts that you deliver? What are the 5? We save money. We do things faster. We make more money. You need to know by heart what are 5 particular impacts. Next, guess what? I want you to also draw up what are 5 critical events you sell against. 5. We call that a 5 by 5. The 5 impacts and the 5 critical events that I can identify a customer with. Because I'm going to tell you that critical event for most of you is really hard. It's really, you will easily identify these 5, but these 5 are really hard. And guess what? That relates to priority. That relates to qualification. That relates to whether the deal is going to close or not. Critical event does, not just impact. The combination of those 2 creates the power punch off. After that, if I would continue the blue line, let me bring up the blue marker, blue line, we're going to go down. After that follows the decision process. What does that spell? Situation, pain, impact, critical event, decision. Folks, that spells the word spiced. Spiced is a public term. You can Google. We came up with it. Fantastic. Use it. I want you to do the following. Upload a transcript. Yes, we're going to go to do AI. I was waiting for that. Where can we use AI? This is the moment. Upload a transcript of a call. Standard call. Don't worry about it. Upload that transcript. Okay? Paste it in your ChatGPT window, whatever your AI of choice is. Paste it in and then ask the following. According to winning by design, it will know what starts training automatically. Using the spiced analogy, can you give me the spiced of this conversation? And it will spill out the situation, the pain, the impact, the critical event, and it will spit it out like that. Now what you have done, you have created a common language between one part, one dot that we had, and that dot can now be connected to the next dot. That dot can now become your demo. You can now say, based on this spiced, what should I demo? Bloop, and it spits out. We recommend that you demo the following things based on your product. Fantastic. Spiced has now become a common language. This mindset of approach does the following. I want you to think as if you can listen to calls. You sit there, you listen to calls. Think of this as a sales call, a floor in the old style with 5 different pod stations and people making sales calls. And you walk by and you hear, that one is popping an ace out. Okay, start of the call. You hear there, oh, they're in the middle of the impact question. You walk over, over there, they're identifying the critical event. Yes? Now guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that recorded call. You're going to listen to the recorded call of one of your sales professionals or yourself, whatever it is. You listen to the recorded call. You check. Did they run the ace? It was okay. Okay, do better next time. What happened? Oh, after the situation in pain, I forgot to summarize. Oh, okay. Well, what should I do? Train your team to listen to a call, understand where it goes right and wrong. And when you do that, I can tell you where most of the times you go wrong. And after that, I'm going to wrap it up and hope that you can do something with it, okay? But before I do, perhaps, Mark, you can step in and provide us some insights.
Yeah, I mean, amazing just to see the spice come to life, Jacco. So 2 questions. One is, can you help us conceptualize how this looks? Like, okay, so I'm putting it together. Now I'm picturing like my salesperson joins next month. Is this like a document that I give to them, a script? Like, how does it packaged up so they can consume it?
Oh my God, I love this, okay? You have no idea how great that question is. Okay, let me take you to the following. One of the challenges is, and think of the following. Many sales professionals in the first 30, 60, 90 days, they get a certain commitment from the customer, from their how do you call it? From their boss. And that means that they get paid a certain dollar value. Say like, okay, it's going to take you for the first 90 days, so I'm going to give you this allotment of money that you otherwise would get in commission, right? Now, what you can do is you go like, okay, do I give that money just to the salesperson? No, you can make them do something for this. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to give them 4 or 5 recorded calls. And I want you to give, when you give them those recorded calls, I want you to say, your goal of this call, put your headset on, sit behind your computer, identify the spice of this call. Identify, tell me what was the situation. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write, not only identify the spiced, look up what their name was and what on LinkedIn was. Look up what tone words they use on LinkedIn. Look up where they were previously. Look this up, write this down. What was the S? 3 fields. What was the P? 2 fields. What was the impact? 2 fields. Write it out, let them fill that out, whether, like it can be in electronic form, of course. But what you do is you're training them to listen to the call. You give them 5 tasks to do that in the first month. They listen to a couple of these calls, they write it out, and they are getting the behavior. This is what we're doing. Then, step 2, they now have to submit a call for review, one after another. Now, it's okay for the first 2 calls that they do with a customer to be assisted by a peer, being worked in, like it happens when you're waiting on tables, it happens when you work in a hospital, and it happens when you go on a sales call. Somebody sits next to you and says, you did great on the situation in pain, but your main problem was you forgot to summarize. Next time, focus on that summary, and then make a decision. If they summarize, the second most common occurrence goes wrong. Did you make a decision whether you were going to pitch, whether you were going to share a story, or where you're going to impact? Or did you just follow the nature? I want to hear, I decided to pitch. Nothing wrong with that. Even if it worked out, nothing wrong with that. I love to hear that. I chose to pitch. I saw these signals and therefore I chose to pitch. Fantastic. Good behavior, bad execution. But the right behavior. You thought, should I pitch? Should I share a story? Or should I go for impact? That you will learn over time. You will learn how to do that better. You will make judgment calls. Some will be right, some will be wrong, but that is the behavior. The behavior is think about what you're doing, okay? Think about that. As you then go on the impact journey, most make the mistake, they forget the critical event. Now I'm gonna flush out the critical event. Super impactful sentence. If you have a little notebook or if you have like a little secret channel on your phone to yourself of notes, this is a golden sentence. A golden sentence. One of those sentences you can use in life, okay? Whenever a customer gives you a date, if you say, when do you need this by? And they say, I need this by August 22nd, which happens to be my birthday. August 22nd. Why is that date important? And all you have to ask is, what happens if you miss that date? Now, look, if you ask a customer, so when do you need this impact by? And the customer says, August 22nd, don't immediately jump, oh, what happens if you miss that date? Folks, that's like a sales setup, right? It feels like, oh, he's using that date. Simply write down August 22nd. 2 to 3 minutes later, as if you recall, you say, Jennifer, it just dawned on me that 2 minutes ago you said that August 22nd was the date. Help me out. Why is the date so important to you? Now what Jennifer gets, she gets like, oh my gosh, I said something that was meaningful. He listened, he or she wrote it down on paper, came back to it. That's the form of showing you are a professional. Let that sink in for a few moments. Don't worry, you don't need to ask immediately, why is that date important, right? But most of you forget to ask that question, and then you don't know what the critical event is. So now you know, well, they want to save $2 million or they want to make $1 million, but you don't know by which date. And that is a critical element. If you run these 5 and the customer doesn't give you a critical event date and they say, like, well, I don't know, you can ask, well, other customers in your field normally have critical event number 1 or normally have critical event number 3. Is that the same as you have? They go, oh yeah, actually, we do close funding. We did bring on a new thing. We installed a new tool. Whatever those ones is, if you do not have it, it's okay as long as you can say, on the call, I scratched off 1 and 3. So on my next discovery call, I'm gonna check out 2 and 4. And if at the end of this sales cycle, I have like scratch off, this is a maybe, that is a lot better than I don't know, I didn't know the question, because now I know these 4 is not what it is, okay? Now, if you're a manager, having 1 deal on your forecast out of 10 without a critical event is not a problem. Having 10 deals on your forecast out of 10 without having a critical event, that's a problem. And Mark, perhaps you can step in here and provide some insights.
All right, this makes total sense on like how I define the process and train them. Now, I'm channeling a founder, first sales leader. Up until this point, maybe we've talked to 50 customers.
Yes.
And so we have a certain knowledge of the market. Over the next few years, we might talk to 1,000 or more. There's a decent chance that our initial hypothesis of our specific spice framework is not quite optimal. So that's what I'd like to explore with you is like, how do you facilitate rapid evolvement and optimization of the spice framework for my company as we go out to market and learn more? And also, when I'm in listening to a particular call, how do I know that it's like a complete one-off versus something that is representative of the market?
Mark, are you laying me up here? Are you giving me level layups? Okay. Folks, here's the fantastic part. If you have a call recording technology, and I hope many of you do, that means that you have dozens, maybe hundreds of calls recorded. Do me a favor, upload them in AI and ask AI to analyze that. Ask AI, now, the following, right? Your first time you go around, when you hear this, you go like, oh, I got 200 calls. Just ask AI, can you give me the spiced analysis of the 200 calls? Can you give me all the key impacts and all the key critical events that you identified? Dude, you already have this. Your database is giving you all the answers right there. And you know how hard it is for you to listen to 500 calls and go through that? I know, I rip my hairs out every time I listen to a call. Yeah, that's how you get that bold. My point in this is, AI does that way faster, way better, and gives you a way better output. Here's another trick. Why do it once? Why not every week? At the end of every week, I analyze the call. Oh, the situation is changing of our customers. The critical events are changing. Oh my gosh. This week we hear that the critical event du jour, which is sexy word for of the day, the critical event du jour is this. Use it. Use it. Next week, that's what we're going to start with. Folks, we have identified a new critical event that we need to work off. This is the beauty of AI. Mark, bring us in.
I mean, I just want to like highlight another, like we're flirting with a similar applicability at the CEO level, at the board level. Why are we sitting in these board meetings and allowing the sales rep, the sales leader, to explain to us why we lost deals last quarter? Why are we letting the customer success leader explain to us why customers churned? We all know how that happened. The rep told the manager, well, first off, the customer told the rep who lied, and the rep told the manager, and the manager told the VP.
Telephone.
And the VP fabricated to the CEO, and it's just like, we're not getting the information we need to effectively run the business. Why are we not just saying at the board level and the CEO level, that's cool, have your slide on what the humans are saying, but please provide the slide on what the AI says. Why are we losing deals? Why are we winning deals? Why are people renewing? Why are people churning? We're about to blow the top off effective, scalable management from the top.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm bringing it home for you today. Here it is. Let me ask you, if you think you follow a process like this, something that you've previously didn't know or were aware of, can you increase your discovery process by 10% with this? Honestly, can you? I believe you can. I believe you can, and we've seen this repeatedly. We can tell you that if you move from situation and pain and you move to impact, your chances on winning the deal significantly increases about 59%. Why is that? Because situation and pain provides historically you the solution pitch. If you ask them for the impact, then essentially you turn it around, you turn your pitch into what they want. That results in a 59% increase. If you then identify the critical event, you have an additional 19% increase in close rate. This is measured over 56,000 sales calls. Okay? This is not like some metric I popped out because I thought it was a cool, sexy number. This is actually real. So we know that if you get through this cycle, your win rate significantly increases as you go along. With that, that means that this approach helps you increase by 10%. Now, to hand it off, I want to say the following. What does it take to be a sales professional? Is it that you can talk great? Is it that you have a gift of gab, as we used to say? Is it that you have an outgoing personality? Is it that you work harder than anyone else? Folks, I like to say what makes the difference between an amateur and a professional is a professional improves as they go along based on using a proven framework. They measure themselves, they improve again and again and again. That tells us that being in sales can be treated like any other profession, can be improved, can be over time, can be shared with others, can be trained to others. And that introduces us to the science of scaling. With that said, I want to thank Mark for bringing us this series. Mark, perhaps a few last words.
I mean, this was a masterclass by Jacco. Thank you, my
You're
friend.
most welcome.
So just to capstone a couple key points here, we entered the conversation with a common pothole. So many founders, so many first sales leaders think that the sales playbook is a pitch about your company, about your product, and about your benefits and value. Jacco has shown us beautifully that that's farthest from the truth. First off, he said, we have to root this in the customer journey. And that customer journey doesn't end with the contract and the sale. It ends with customer success and ultimately expansion. We have to appreciate that whole life cycle. Point number 2, the most important lever of that isn't even the demo. It's actually the discovery call. Point number 3, he's laid out a beautiful rendition using the SPICE framework on how we can navigate that and make it very predictable. And point number 4, this is just like the scientific method. I know a lot of you are engineers. You love the science behind it. You're not going to get it right out of the gate, but you've presented an operational cadence to make it better, to achieve that 10% just in that one piece, and apply it to all the other pieces so you can double sales. Thank you, Jacco. Thank you for your time today. I'm Mark Roberge, and this is the Science of Scaling.